Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favourite polework exercises in this video, telling you why I like them and what they're good for. The least amount of poles you would need is 6 and the exercise with the most poles is 12, but you can add and take away poles to make the exercises easier or harder depending on your horse's experience. In this video I'm doing them on Riley, who's my thoroughbred, who's still not all that experienced, and my friend is doing them on her stock horse, who is an experienced dressage horse. So you can really use them on a variety of different horses, and I hope you enjoy. I'll go in order from my number 1 favourite to my least favourite of the 5. Sorry for that notification. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Okay, so this would probably have to be my favourite exercise. It looks simple, but it's actually really hard, and the horses have to really be listening to you and collect up to do these tight turns and come back to trot after cantering over a canter pole around the tight turn. So basically, you go over the poles in the middle, across the middle of the arena, and then you can raise these poles however much you want, or you can leave them on the floor, and then you turn left or right, up to you, and you go over the canter pole. Again, you can put as many as you want, so they have to do the transition quite quickly after they've done the trot poles, and then after going over the canter pole they need to go back to trot again and back over the trot poles. And Riley really struggled with this because his downward transitions and tight turns really aren't that great, so you could see that he really was evading the bit coming back down. But this exercise would really help him to get better on his downward transitions and get more collected and tight turns, and just I think any horse could benefit from it. So when you see Caitlin do it on Banjo, you can see he does the turns a lot easier, and he is a lot more experienced than Riley. But this exercise is still good for him, and Caitlin can add as many canter poles as she wants to make it harder. And you can see she's raised the poles a bit more, and you can put the canter poles closer to the trot poles too to make the turns tighter. So basically it helps with turning, transitions, and collection. Okay, so as you can see, this one is a lot more complex and has a lot more poles, but you can add or take away any poles from the sides. So this helps with straightness and curving, and also tight turns, because on that bend the turn is quite tight. So the first way you do it is just straight down the middle, and you can raise these poles if you want, or you can add more to make it harder, or you can just have one pole in front of the square if you want it to be a bit easier. The next is this tight turn. It doesn't look that tight, but it's actually really tight when you ride it. So you really have to be accurate in where you're going, and they have to be listening to you and bending properly. And the last way you do it is just on a diagonal through the square, which you have to be really straight for if you want to go straight through the corners, which in this video you can see Riley is not straight through the second corner, but I didn't get any more videos than that. So this exercise has a few different ways of doing it, but the main way I do it is straight through the middle, because it really helps with straightness, because you have to be right in the point of the triangle. You can also go on a curve through the triangle or on a straight line through the triangle, and we added a pole before and after the triangles just to make it a bit harder. As you can see here, the striding we did was 2 trot strides and 1 canter stride, but you can just do it as 1 trot stride if you don't want to canter it. We just couldn't be bothered changing it. So as you can see, Banjo's quite balanced through it, and then when you watch Riley, he's a lot less balanced and green compared to Banjo. So this exercise would really help him with his balance and straightness, and that's the way you can do it through the curve. Okay, so this exercise is pretty simple, and again it helps with straightness, but the reason I like it is because you can do it as more of like a flowing, I don't know how to describe it really, but you can just do it and continuously keep doing it. So you go through the middle, you change direction, you go through it again, and you just keep changing rein after you go through the middle. So I find this is really good for getting into a nice rhythm, and you can get them working really nicely and bending properly. And it's also good for practicing changing bend through the middle when you change direction. You can also do it at canter. There's a few different ways you can do it in canter. So Caitlin here, you'll see canters through the middle and then does a tight-ish turn and canters back down the long part. So that would be too tight for Riley because he's not balanced enough, but if you have a more balanced horse, that's a good way to do it. And you can also trot across the poles on the side. So Riley, I just cantered straight through the middle, And if you have a more experienced horse as well, you can do flying changes through the middle, and then it's kind of like how it was in trot. You keep changing direction every time and you just continuously keep going. So this one again is pretty simple, but I like it because it's nice and flowing as well. And you're supposed to put it on a figure 8, the poles on the sides, but I just put them on the corners because my arena is only 20 by 40, so it doesn't really work. They end up basically on the corners anyway. So it's just nice and flowing once again, and you can add more poles to the corners if you want, and you can raise the poles, you can add more poles in the middle, you can make it as easy or hard as you want. So I'd say the main thing it's good for is practicing changing directions through the middle and keeping a nice consistent rhythm all the way around, and it can make you think about your corners a bit more if you put the poles in the corners. If you've got a figure 8 like this, it would help with your circles and just changing rein as well. You can let them have a stretch around doing this if they're calm enough, obviously, because it's nice and simple. And it's really just a nice relaxed exercise to do if you've got a more inexperienced horse. I'd say most horses could do this. And even if you just put one pole in the middle over where you would change rein and one pole in the corners, or again, if you have a more experienced horse, you add more poles. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like. It took so long to film. We did it all in one day, and it took ages. Basically, we were all dead by the end of it. So please leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.